Hey guys, and welcome on into the next NHL offseason preview show. Today we're going to be talking about the Ottawa Senators, taking a look at their free agents this offseason, their draft picks and management, take a look at their lineup, projected lineup, and then, of course, my offseason tasks, in my opinion, for the Ottawa Senators. We're going to jump right into it here with the first segment, which is draft picks and management. The Ottawa Senators have their general manager and head coach already hired and in position. Steve Staios, general manager, Travis Green, head coach. So no needed additions there with the general manager or head coach. The Senators, draft pick wise, they have their first round pick this year's draft. No second round pick at this moment. They have Florida's third, San Jose's fourth, and then their fifth, sixth, and seventh round pick for this draft. And Ottawa, of course, a team that had missed the playoffs for quite a few consecutive years, but got back there last season with a 97 points, 45, 30, and 7, getting that top wild card spot, and only 1 point behind Florida, for third in the Atlantic. So Senators had a very good season last year, making the playoffs, and of course their goal is to, of course, make the playoffs again and try to make a deep playoff run. Taking a look at the offer sheet capability for the Ottawa Senators, and to put this a little bit more simple than I did in previous shows, the Senators are able to offer sheet a player except between these dollar amounts: $2,340,038 to $4,680,076. So basically 2.3 to 4.6 million. They cannot offer a player that amount. And as well, $7,020,114 to $11,700,192. So basically 7.0 to 11.7 million. They cannot offer sheet a player that amount. They can offer sheet a player over the 11.7 million, $193 if they would like. So some offer sheet capability, but I'm not sure that the Senators are going to be a team that will do that. In the past, we haven't really seen a lot of offer sheets, but the St. Louis Blues, of course, offer sheeting 2 players on Edmonton last year, could either be a one-off or it could be the start of something where maybe some teams look at offer sheeting more. So that's why we discuss it, of course, in the off-season preview. Next up is free agents. And the Ottawa Senators have a lot of them. So much that I had to make everything much smaller here on the page because of how many guys they've got. So when you look at RFAs, Fabian Zetterlund, Tyler Kleven, and Donovan Sebrango. Of course, Fabian Zetterlund coming over from San Jose. He's going to be a player they're going to want to re-sign. I think Tyler Kleven and Donovan Sebrango most likely will be a pretty cheap contracts. So there shouldn't be any issue with getting those guys signed. There is a large amount of UFAs that the Senators have. And well, they only have $16 million in cap space. So once you get those RFAs signed, the Senators, in my opinion, on this list, of course, Claude Giroux's played very well with the Senators the last few years. I would look at re-signing him. I think he would be a good player to have back in the lineup. Now, of course, he might be looking to go off to another team. We'll have to see there. Then there's a lot of other depth guys. I think Anton Forsberg is pretty much gone. And in my opinion, the Senators don't really need goaltending. And, of course, we'll get to goaltending at the end of the show. But A lot of these UFAs, I think, are off to other teams. Senators will probably look at re-signing the RFAs, and then I would look at offering Claude Giroux something. Try to get him back here because he's played very well with them the last few seasons. Looking at the forward group, as it is projected at this moment, Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, and Drake Batherson, fantastic top line. David Perron, Dylan Cousins, and Fabian Zetterlund there on that second line. Ideally, I think David Perron might be more suited for the third line at this stage in his career. I'm not quite sure he's that second line player. So either maybe Ridley Gregg moves up, or the Senators do look to make that addition at forward. If you get Claude Giroux back or another top six forward, you can move things around a little bit here. Ridley Gregg, Shane Pinto, Michael Amadio, that third line, pretty decent third line there. Garrett Pilon, Jan Jenik, Zach McEwen on the fourth line, and then other young players, Stephen Halliday and Tyler Boucher, as options as well. So overall, when you look at this forward group, I think it's pretty decent. I don't really think offense is going to be a huge issue for the Senators at this point. As I said, maybe you add another top six forward. Maybe you move Perron down to the third line. Then you also have the other young guys for depth for injuries and that kind of thing. But overall, I don't think the forward group is a huge pressing issue for the Senators. I think if they were to go with this forward group heading into the season, I think they would still have a pretty good offense this year. But looking at left wingers, that is kind of maybe what they need a little bit more than Claude Giroux. But on this list, maybe Jonathan Drouin would be interesting. Fitting into that top six, I think he would be a good addition for Ottawa. Of course, Jamie Benn, I don't think he leaves. When we look at this list, which we do on every show, Brad Marchand, Jamie Benn, I'm just not sure what their plans are. But obviously, we didn't really think we'd see Marchand in a jersey other than the Bruins, and we did. So as you can see on the screen, he's not wearing a Bruins jersey. So with Jamie Benn, maybe it's the same deal. Maybe we could see him in a different jersey. It's definitely possible. So there are guys here that the Senators could look to add if they wish. Centers, I think the Senators are pretty decent with the center group. Claude Giroux listed as a center. He did play right wing as well. So as I said, if you want to bring Giroux back to bring a top six forward back, I think that would overall help the lineup. Otherwise, maybe look at a guy that can play wing as well. Right wingers, not sure about this list here. People might say, well, what about Mitch Marner? What if he wants to stay close to home and he decides to go to the rival of the Toronto Maple Leafs? And well, I don't see that happening. I don't think he goes to Ottawa. Just cap-wise, it would be a little bit difficult, and I don't think the Senators would be a team he'd go to. I'm not sure about any of the other players here on this list. RFAs, as we discussed, Senators do have some capability. Of course, they're limited in the dollar amount they can offer a certain player. I don't know if they're active here for anyone in this list. Bowen Byram could be interesting, but I think that would be more done by trade if the Senators were going to look at Byram. I don't know if he is the player they would be looking to add, but I do think defense is a position that the Senators could potentially look to upgrade in. Jake Sanderson, Artem Zub on the top line, Thomas Chabot, Nick Jensen, that second pair, Tyler Clevin, Nicholas Madenpalo, the third pair, Donovan Sabrango, another young player. And that third pair could play pretty well, but there could also be some struggles. And I think the Senators team, they're at a point now. They made the playoffs last year. They're looking to continue moving on, continue progressing. You need to have a defense where you can completely rely on. Because if a guy like Jake Sanderson was to get injured, then that takes out a big. Like, what if Jake Sanderson and Thomas Chabot both miss time at the same, or both miss injury time at the same time? That's a big, very depleted defense, and that could be a huge issue for the Senators, I think. So overall, I think adding some depth defensemen to round out this defense core, help out those two goaltenders, which we'll get to here in a little bit, I think could be a good look, a good addition to the team. The guys in this list, Gavrikov would be a little bit interesting here. Orlov could be a potential look, but those guys probably don't end up here on the Ottawa Senators. I think they would probably be looking at some more of a cheaper depth defenseman than the guys here on this list. Goaltending, Linus Ullmark and Levi Merilainen. Linus Ullmark last season, 25, 14, and 3 with a 2.72 goals against average and a 910 save percentage. Very good numbers overall compared to what the Senators have had in the past. Goaltending has really been an issue for this team. So Ullmark had a great season. Anton Forsberg, as I said, most likely will find a new team. I don't think the Senators need to look at re-signing him. He was 11, 12, and 3. He also had a 2.72 goals against average and a 901 save percentage. So not awful numbers. He's likely going to, or he is going to find a new home on a new team. He might be one of the more sought-after free agent goaltenders on the market. But Levi Merilainen, why I think the Senators should stand pat here, at least at the beginning of the season, and see if things carry over from last year. He had 12 games played. He was 8-3-1 with a 1.99 goals against average and a 925 save percentage. So those are very, very good numbers. Of course, only over a 12-game stretch, but still very, very good numbers for him. If the Senators can get consistent goaltending from both of these guys, then the defense that I was talking about before might not be as much of an issue. Obviously, your goaltending is your last save attempt goes to the goaltender. Of course, the defenseman's supposed to help out, but if the goalie can stop it, then there you go. You're not going to allow many goals. So overall, and Senators fans might be, and maybe you disagree with me, but we'll if you do disagree with me, leave it in the comments of the video. But I think for once in a long time, I think the goaltending duo here for the Ottawa Senators is pretty decent, and I don't think they really need to make any changes here, which is not something you could have said the last 5-10 years. So I think they're pretty set here looking at goaltenders. As I said, Forsberg, most likely one of the top free agent goaltenders available. Lots of guys here on this list. I don't see the Ottawa Senators going out and signing someone. They could very well do that, but I think that cap would be much better spent elsewhere. And when it comes to the RFA goaltenders, no, there's no reason to try to offer sheet an RFA, not when you've got Ullmark as your starter, and then of course Levi Merilainen, as I said, who played very well for the Senators last year. Offseason tasks. What do I think the Senators should do this offseason? Task number 1 is re-sign / move your 3 RFAs. Basically, just get those guys signed. Don't really think you're going to have too much trouble with Clevin and the other defenseman. Zetterland, you just acquired him. You want to keep him, sign him to some kind of contract here. Second task, add a defenseman. You want to have some depth there. As I said, good goaltending last year, but goaltending can be a very wonky thing. One year it can be great, the next year not so great. So you still need to have a decent defense in front of the goaltending. I do think Senators could look to add a defenseman and then look to make a forward upgrade, whether that be a top 6 forward, maybe a top 9 forward. Just get an extra guy when it comes to the forward group. Or the Senators could just ignore that and just go with the young guns they have and let them take up spots. Maybe they go after a bigger name defenseman and just look at bolstering that defense. But Senators have some options here this offseason. And that is the Ottawa Senators offseason preview show. If you like the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And if you're an Ottawa Senators fan watching, let me know what you think in the comments below. What should they do this offseason? And then come back in September and we'll take a look at what they did do in the offseason and take a look at what their upcoming season looks like.